I have a very simple formula for success, which is...
So the big question is, what are the top agents doing to absolutely crush it in real estate, grow their teams, and add more transactions year over year while so many struggle? If you ever thought about this, you're not alone. No one has been able to get the answers until now.
We spent the last few years helping agents sell billions in real estate, rubbing shoulders with top producers, which got us thinking, how can we expose more people to these insights to help raise the standard in the whole real estate industry? We then realized that we could help bridge the gap by getting the secrets from the best of the best so that you can succeed. My name is Andrew Dunn.
And my name is Peter Michael. Welcome to Elite Agent Secrets.
Hey everyone, and welcome to this episode of Elite Agent Secrets. Today we've got Levi Lassick with us. This is a very special guest. In his first year of real estate, he did 64 transactions, closed $33.5 million, and made over $1 million in GCI. You heard that correctly, $1 million in GCI, all 100% organic from YouTube. Not a single penny fucking spent on ads in any way, shape or form. This is ridiculous. This guy and his partner, they fucking iconed in their first year in real estate. If you're a new agent and you're listening to this, if you're a seasoned agent and you're listening to this and you're not doing $1 million and you've got no money to spend, what are you doing? Levi, thanks for jumping on the
Definitely not what Levi's doing.
Yeah, well, hey, guys. First of all, thanks for having me. But even if you are doing $1 million, why not add another $1 million, right? free from YouTube, right?
We were talking off air, right? It was like, well, technically the $1 million was actually only 9 months because it took 3 months to grow the channel, so we made the $1 million in 9. And just a little tidbit, we're going to dive into this because Travis doesn't have a huge backstory, seeing it's only a year, but. He was like, oh, yeah, 2022, we're already 30. We've got over 30 pending already in the year. And he was like, we've got a 4.6 pending. We're talking about mega luxury here as well, guys. We're going to dive into all of this stuff. But Levi, I know it's only a year ago, but where we like to start is to take us back, right? This is why everyone, it's like, why'd you get into real estate? What was your journey? Where did you come from? Why did you now start production? So even if it's just a year, take us back to the journey.
Well, sure, man. How much time do we got? No, just kidding. So
all the time, baby.
All the time. Well, cool. So, disclaimer, I'm 42 years old. And, so even though I'm new to licensed real estate, I'm not new to business and marketing. And so I think really what set myself and Travis apart is that we both approach this. We both have backgrounds in sales and marketing, and we approach real estate as marketers and business owners versus a real estate agent. And if anybody's familiar with the cash flow quadrant, an employee, you directly trade time for money. And self-employed is on the left side of the quadrant. Yeah. And that is your real estate agents, your single practice doctors and lawyers, where still your income is dependent on your efforts. And so I knew that was not where I wanted to be to start out. Now, I had, over the last 5 years, to shorten the story, I had a very successful financial services business. I had contracts with all the Dallas ISD schools. That allowed me to work with teachers on their retirement planning. It was very lucrative, and every single year was better than the last year. And 2019 was my best year ever. 2020, the first quarter, was the best quarter I've ever had. I thought 2020 was going to be my highest earning year, and then all the schools shut down, and everybody got scared. Everybody started not wanting to invest. They wanted to save money. They didn't want, just basically I watched my business kind of go to zero overnight, as far as new business. And so I thought, I was really looking for a transition. I had dabbled in real estate investment for the last 10 years after the last crash. I did 1 or 2 fixer flips per year as a little side hustle. I had 7 rentals at one time, but I ended up selling those off in 2017 because I thought the market was going to crash back then. And I thought it was at a peak. So I was very familiar with transactions in the real estate business. And plus, I had so many friends that are successful real estate agents. However, what scared me to death was, number one, I was 41 years old. Number two, I knew what they went through their first 2, 3, 4, or 5 years in real estate, right? I know the struggles they went to. They've been successful agents for the last 10 years. It took them time to build up, and they did the traditional methods. They cold called, they door knocked, they spent money on postcards, they shook hands, they kissed babies, and at that point, I love the movie, the Boiler Room, but that's not what I was interested in doing. Again, like I said, I was 41. I felt like I was starting over, and that's what really kind of scared me to death. I was like, man, shoot, how do I move into this without being a typical real estate agent? But I just looked at that and I said, okay, I'm not starting over. I'm actually starting with, almost 20 years of sales and marketing experience behind me and business ownership. So that's what I need to approach it as far as a marketer and as a business owner. And I wanted to attract business. And so I knew I didn't know how to do that in real estate, but I knew I could do that through social media, but I wasn't sure which social media platform was going to be the best. And I also knew what I studied is that most successful creators or content creators that you see on platforms are really dialed in on one platform. They may be present on every platform, but they're really dialed in on one platform. Almost everybody has their platform that they go all in on. So I was like, okay, I'm going to choose one platform, go all in on that. That's what I'm just going to start on. That's what I'm going to do 100%. And all the noise was really around Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok at the time. And so those were the rabbit holes I went down in the beginning, but nothing really set well in my gut. I was kind of like, I don't know. I don't think those are the platforms for me. So YouTube was the last choice, actually. But I do what I typically do in any of the businesses I've had before or part of the sales teams I've been. I don't try to reinvent the wheel. I have a very simple formula for success, which is who's at the top. How did they get there? What can I do to model that? And then how do I adjust that to fit my personality? And then can I beat them or can I actually do better? So I always start with who's at the top. And so that's why I looked at Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok, and I looked at the top real estate agents in those spaces. And there are very successful agents in those platforms. But it wasn't me. I was like, okay, I don't think that's really me. So then I go onto YouTube and I start looking at different real estate channels, but then ultimately I buy books as well. And I bought all the YouTube marketing books I could find. There's about 8 to 10, and most of them are not that great. But YouTube Secrets and YouTube Formula, those are the only really 2 books I recommend on YouTube. And so those really laid out the fundamentals and principles of the platform. And I felt like that was something that resonated with me a little bit more. And I thought, okay, I can build something here and attract business because I wasn't interested in pursuing people, chasing people down, building relationships necessarily, although that is critical in real estate, but not necessarily at the beginning. And what we found is that we now build relationships through video. And that's the power of video, is that video takes people, actually YouTube takes people through the entire sales process, the entire sales funnel. If anybody's familiar with a sales process or a sales funnel, it's, you have to find your audience. You have to, or your audience has to find you. They have to start to consume content to become familiar with you. And then once they consume enough content to be familiar with you and ultimately build a relationship with you, when they reach out, then you have a client or a customer. So YouTube takes that person through that entire journey for free. And that's the great thing about it, because YouTube is the second largest search engine right behind Google. And of course, Google owns YouTube, so they're one and the same. And people are searching on YouTube. Now, think how powerful this is. People search on YouTube. They are looking for information and answers. They find your content on their own. They choose to watch your content on their own. Then they'll watch multiple pieces of content on their own. And so once they call you, they've already made the decision they want to work with you. So they actually walk themselves through the entire sales funnel, the entire sales process, and we never spend a single penny to do that. If you do that on Facebook, not that there's anything wrong with Facebook, but are some drastic differences. You have to target an audience, right? You have to have lookalike audience. You have to have custom audiences. You have to have retargeting campaigns. Why? Because Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, those are interruption platforms. Because nobody really goes to those platforms necessarily to search for at least real estate. Nobody says, hey, honey, it's time to buy a house. Let's go on Facebook and see what's on the market. Nobody says, hey, honey, it's time to buy a house. Let's go on Instagram and see if we can find a really cool real estate agent making market reports. Nobody says, hey, it's time to buy a house, honey. Let's go to TikTok and see if we can find the best dancing realtor. What they do is they say, hey, honey, it's time to buy a house. Dallas seems pretty cool. Colorado seems pretty cool. I don't know. Let's go research those areas and see where we want to move, because now we're approved to work from home, or we're ready to move out of the state because of high taxes or lockdowns or restrictions or whatever the case may be. But I don't know. So let me go research. And so what happens is we capture people in the research phase before they've even decided to hire a real estate agent. And the thing is as you're running ads on these other platforms, because nobody goes there intentionally to search for real estate, it's the same thing with commercials. So as they're scrolling and they see that ad, now maybe they click on that ad. That's why there's such a low conversion rate on those platforms, because they may see that ad, but are they necessarily in the market? You're interrupting what they're doing. So the thing is that they may click on your ad and fill out the form and they may become a lead, but they may not be in the market for 6 months, 12 months, or even 18 months. And so then all you've done is you created somebody that you have to follow up with until they finally decide to do something. As to where YouTube, they're extremely intentional. They are already in the research mode. So their buying process and their buying decisions are extremely tight. So they're already in that mode. And so whenever they find our videos, the more videos they consume, we've provided that value up front, and they know they're not being targeted by ads. And so that makes everything organic too. So it seems more natural, although YouTube's number one goal is time on platform. So YouTube is the most creator-friendly platform out there, because if they consume one of your videos, that's going to trigger YouTube to say, hey, we're going to push more and more and more of this person's videos, because their whole goal is time on platform. So if they watch one video, YouTube thinks they're probably going to watch another one of your videos. And so they will actually think about it. You've done this. You made the mistake of watching one stupid cat video, and every time you log onto YouTube now, all you get hit with is cat videos, right? And you're like, damn it, I knew I should have never clicked on that cat video. And so that's the great thing is and plus YouTube actually shares revenue with you. I don't know. We're not trying to monetize through ads, but just by default, we made over $4,000 this last year in ads, that YouTube gave us. So I don't know any other platform that pays you, number one, shares the ad revenue with you, but also promotes you more than any other platform. And you know this on Facebook, they say on average now your reach is about 5% to your following. And you can post whatever you post, and you can say, hey, mom, did you see my post last night on Facebook? And your mom's like, no, I didn't, because half the time your mom doesn't even get your post. Yeah. So you have to pay for all of that. And the thing is that's why you have to have ad spend. You have to have retargeting campaigns, because nobody's necessarily on those. Now, again, I know real estate agents that are very successful on those platforms, so I don't want to take anything away from them. However, it's a different type of psychology in the consumer buying process, right? So they're on Facebook. Again, they're not necessarily going there to research real estate, but you may hit them with an ad. But that's also why you may have to retarget them and retarget them and retarget them. And you have to pay for that over and over and over again, right? You know that for every impression you pay for on Facebook, you pay for that. YouTube gave us last year, our channel, we had over 9 million impressions on our channel for free. Wow. 9 million people saw our thumbnails. I mean, you cannot duplicate that. But to me, the most powerful aspect is that our channel was watched 66,700 hours. If you divide that by 24 hours in a day, that is equivalent to 7.6 years. So our YouTube channel prospected for us in 1 year time frame. It prospected 7.6 years. So YouTube does not take you time. YouTube makes you time. Not only does it make you time, it compounds your time. And if time is the most valuable asset, then why would you not want to invest your time into something that can actually compound your time? Now, when you invest in real estate or stocks or Bitcoin or NFTs or whatever it is, your number one question is usually, what's going to be my return? Right? And you're also looking to compound interest. That's why the investor quadrant of the cash flow quadrant is the most coveted, because your money can make you money. Well, if we apply those same principles to time, what are you investing your time with? And I don't know anything that can actually return, and not just return, but actually compound your time. But you see, because even if it takes you 30 minutes to make a video, as soon as that video is watched 31 minutes, you've profited 1 minute of your time. So one video, for example, that I did took me 30 minutes to make, but it's been watched 3,600 hours. That's 150 days. So people say, well, I don't have time to make YouTube videos. I'm like, well, if you don't have time to make YouTube videos, that's exactly why you should make YouTube videos, because you're not leveraging your time correctly. So, and the other thing is you only need to post 2 to 3 times, actually 1 to 3 times on YouTube, as to where Facebook, Instagram, TikTok are really multiple posts. If you want to gain traction on there, they're multiple posts per day even. I mean, you talk to any Instagram marketer, they're like, you got to post to your grid, you got to post reels, you got to post stories, and you got to post 10 stories every single day to be successful on Instagram. It's like, holy crap, that sounds pretty labor intensive to me. So those are kind of the concepts. Does that help answer your question? Sorry.
I think that answered the question, but created a shit ton of others.
Yeah. I think you just blitzed through your first topic, which is why YouTube is important. But I want to now unpack some of the stuff. So first of all, I think you're right. With regards, we don't really do much organic on Facebook. I think we pay to play. We've been in this market for a long time, and I think you're dead right.
That's the only way. If you're expecting to get a whole lot of organic traction, you're going to be in for a rude awakening very quickly, or you're going to be very frustrated not knowing why it's not working.
Yeah, I mean, for the way I've seen Facebook for probably north of 2 years now, it's like digital door knocking and cold calling. Like, because for now, like if you want to get clients, and by the way, this is possible. We've got people in our team who like pulling out 50 plus deals a year, prospecting Facebook groups, like, and they're finding deals from local groups. Like it works. And it's just a digital form of like reaching out. And it's social prospecting. That's what we call it. It's like cold calling versus social prospecting. And it works. It's free. You make a lot of money doing it. But one of the things that you mentioned that I think is so powerful, like crazy powerful, in 1 year, you did 7.6 years of prospecting in a single year. Like you can't even fathom that, guys. And like when you listen to that, that's 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 52 weeks a year, no time off, no sick pay. There's no, I'm taking a vacation with my family. No, it's out there, it's doing its thing, and you're picking up the phone. Now, I've always thought the dream, which is more complicated to set up, and let's be honest, agents don't do enough as it is, so you don't want to bring complicated systems into play. But it's the combination of social and search is like a bit of a dream team, because social drives search, aka like if you can start promoting a product, like I'm not sure if this is going back years, but did you ever remember seeing something called Pet Rock or not?
Oh yeah, of course.
Right. So Pet Rock, if anyone's listening, this is how stupid it was. They were selling a rock with hay in a box, and they said a pet rock. No one in the history of the world is going on Google and searching Pet Rock. But when their social like platform, like their social viral kind of marketing campaign went off, what was happening? Everyone was then searching for buy a pet rock for, my annoying girlfriend. Fucking wants a dog. I'll get her a pet rock. So they coincide very, very well. Peter, I know you're itching because we're dead on the cusp. In fact, by the time people listen to this episode, our YouTube stuff, we're going to be following in Levi's footsteps, because we've mastered Facebook. I don't want to sound arrogant, but we've been doing it over 3 years. Like, it's fair to say we've really mastered the art of how to fucking get deals through Facebook. So we're now venturing into following your footsteps, Levi, which is we fancy an extra $1 million. I'm not going to lie. Like, I want an extra $1 million.
Yeah. Why not? Hey, why not?
So Peter's going to be doing it. So Peter's got to be on the camera. So Peter, what you got?
See, like one of the things for me is my wife's been on me about this. It's like, just go out and do this, go out and do tours. I'm like, I don't even know where to begin, what to say, what to look for, because my background is being a videographer, right? So for me, obviously you can't tell because I don't have my setup, but just like Levi, I need to have the camera dialed in. I need to have the lights. I need to make things look pretty. I need to, but I think it's all shit going on in my head.
Yeah. It is in your own head. So, I mean, this is just my webcam. I mean, I still use an iPhone. If I go out and shoot, I use an iPhone, a $20 tripod from Amazon, and a little plug-in microphone. That's what I shoot 90% of my content on. So, and it's an iPhone 11, but you do need a a wide angle camera. So it's an 11 Pro. So I recommend you have an 11 Pro or above because it has the wide angle on there. And it allows you to capture so much behind you. I never have to worry about being in the shot. But ultimately, the thing is that video is just sales at scale. That's all it is. And so if you're a real estate agent and you know your neighborhood and your suburbs and your town and ultimately it's about your experiences. That's what people are really looking for. So all you have to, that is your content. It is the information you want to provide. Think about if you were walking your best friend who doesn't live in your city and they come to visit you and you're like, hey, let's go to this cool neighborhood. I want to take you to the best brunch spot. We're going to go do some shopping at some boutique shops. And after that, we're going to grab this badass dinner over at this really cool restaurant. Well, guess what? Everybody's looking for that information. And so all you have to do is tell them about it. You just tell them about it on video. Your best friend is the camera. So you just have to have a conversation with your camera and walk people through that. What is it like? And then you include, and all I do is include, okay, well, here's a couple of homes in this area as well. And here's the price points. And here's what you can expect and what you're looking for. You see, because anybody can go on Zillow and look at a house, but nobody can see the house next door or the house across the street or the playground down the street or the community pool or the cool street of full of bars and restaurants that's a block away or just a 5-minute drive. They can't see that stuff. So all we do is show them that, and that's what draws all the eyes and the attention. And that's what James, James aka Zillow Killer, that's the whole premise of everyone's worried about institutional buyers and Zillow and everybody doing all this stuff. It's like, who can replace the value that you bring and the experience you have in your city, in your market? Your town inside and out. And that's what people are mostly interested in. They could care less about really everything else, that you've memorized the entire contract. Nobody has ever asked me a single question about the contract. Nobody has ever asked me, how long have I been in business? Nobody's asked me how much transactions we've done. Nobody asked how many awards have I won. Nobody's even asked what brokerage am I with. They don't care. They come to us because I provided them value. I provided them the information they were searching for and a lot of it. And so that's the other great thing is they can binge watch on YouTube. They say whenever series come out on Netflix that about 74% of the audience will binge watch that series over the course of 2 days.
Yeah.
So when you have a library built up on YouTube, people are researching and they want to watch it. 25% of our YouTube channel, 25% of the traffic comes from TV. You talk about digital door knocking. We're not knocking on doors. They're inviting us in their house onto their living room couch and watching us on their TV. Think about how powerful that is. What other way can you imagine marketing to somebody to work with you as an agent than being on their big screen TV in their living room? 25%.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
So I got a question for you, because now you guys, first of all, topic 2, how to get started. We've a little bit touched on that with the techie stuff. But before we dive into that topic fully, I have a question for you regarding of building up the momentum that you've built, because it took you 3 months to build up the momentum. Then you got regular closings. You guys closed over $1 million in GCI in that 9 months. In this new year, you already have 30 pending. How are you managing and taking the people from YouTube and the platform, and what are you doing with them afterwards? Do you have a CRM? Do you have a system to process? Because that's a lot of deals in a very short amount of time. How do you not go crazy trying to figure out where everybody's at?
Yeah, we had to grow a team. This is something that, Travis and I, we had to grow a team. It came to the point. Now, here's the great thing about YouTube is it's gradual, so if you're working on it, it's going to be slow in the beginning. And the real truth is it took me 7 months to gain the momentum. Now, here's the deal. Like we built out a full course on how to do this, which will eliminate those 7 months it took me to figure it out. But ultimately, I researched the platform for 2 months. I filmed content for an entire month before publishing, because I learned in my research that consistency is key. And so I wanted to be a month out on content before I publish, because most agents publish one video, they get excited, and then guess what happens? Life happens, health happens, real estate happens, family happens, and then what happens is nothing happens after that, right? They use excuses to not do their second or third video, and then that will kill your channel quicker than anything. So I understood that before I started. So I published a month's worth of content first so that I could be prepared. It would give me a month's cushion so that in case anything came up, which I wasn't planning on it, but you never know, things happen. I was just in that mode so that I was always scheduled out on content. So that was 3 months before even releasing the first video. Then it really took, about 4 months, December, January, February, March, to get the first deal under contract. We ended up closing the first deal in April. So you look at that was 7 months. Now, most people would have quit, and most people do quit way before that. I just made a commitment to myself that I was going to give it a full year and go all in 100%. Now we can shorten that time frame, of course, for people. But the thing is that going back to that, that's how you get started. You have to have a plan in place. If you treat YouTube like a hobby, it'll pay you like a hobby. If you treat YouTube like a business, it'll pay you like a business. You see, most people are used to looking at these platforms, these social media platforms, from the consumer side versus the producer side. You know, you look at it and you go, oh my God, everyone posts their lunch in these stupid cat videos, but the guy posting that cat video is probably making $1 million on the other side because they understand the platform as a producer, not a consumer. So you have to just like you guys have mastered Facebook, I'm assuming you probably know a lot more on the back end of Facebook than most people do, right? You probably, I know you know 1,000 times more of the back end of Facebook than I do. I can't tell you how many times I've tried to mess with a Facebook ad and I hate it. I can't stand it. I'm like, please, I will pay somebody a lot of money to just do this for me, right? But at the same time, that's it. I took time to understand the back end of YouTube, which is why those 2 books, YouTube Secrets and YouTube Formula, I think are so, are important because they really help you understand the back end. By the way, shameless plug, they're revising the copy of YouTube Secrets, should be out this month. Travis and I will be featured in that book. So
that is shameless, Levi.
That is Sean Kennel, right?
Yeah, Sean Cannell and Benji Travis. Yeah. So, I mean, I got it. I've met them both a couple of times, hung out with them actually, went to Benji's house and also interviewed with Benji on their channel. And we got to see them again at Vid Summit and everything. But but they're featured. I
literally just picked that book up 2 days ago.
Yeah. Well, it may not be the new copy. Yeah. I mean, I don't know. Let us know if you see our. No, actually, I asked Benji yesterday. He said the new version's not out yet. So everything's delayed these days. Like everything in the world is delayed. So it's like. Even publishing the new book. But the reason they had us in there was because they want, everybody on YouTube has the fame and fortune because they have 100,000 or 1 million subscribers, right? And they wanted to show that we had less than 5,000 subscribers and could make $1 million because we monetize a platform with a high ticket item like real estate. And, but you have to do that a certain way. So there is a method to the madness, but you have to understand it. You have to have a business plan. You have to understand what you're doing. You can't just throw videos out there. And so you don't want to throw out market reports because they're completely irrelevant the next month. You don't want to do open houses because they're completely irrelevant the next weekend. You don't want to do even listing videos because guess what? Nobody cares about your $350,000 listing with the Formica countertops. I mean, you may make a cool video and Peter could probably run through there and do some badass videography, but nobody cares about that. Nobody's interested in a $350,000 house over in Swan Lake. I mean, but that's what they do. What they're looking for is they're looking for information. They're looking for what is it like to eat, sleep, work, play, the good and the bad of living in your city. And only you can provide that perspective. And because it's your information, it's your story. And here's the most important thing. People ask all the time, well, isn't it saturated? Or I saw one other agent in my neighborhood making real estate videos. Well, guys, does that stop HGTV from coming out with a new real estate show every year? Do you think HGTV ever says, hey, do you think we've got too many real estate agent shows? We should probably not come out with a new one. Or do they come out with a new real estate agent show every single year? I mean, when's the last time they actually came out with a garden show, right? I mean, it should just be home TV. That's what it should be, right? So they know that everybody resonates with a different personality. It's the same as if you guys, I would assume if you watch $1 Million Listing or Fixer Upper, Fixer Flop, or maybe you watch all of them, then you would only choose one of those agents if you had to work with one, you know?
Yeah.
And so somebody likes Chip and Joanna better than they like Josh Altman or Ryan Serhant, but somebody may like Ryan Serhant more than they like the other ones, you know? So everybody relates to somebody different. So I don't care if there's 10, 20, or 30 agents doing YouTube in your city. You're the only one with your personality, and like attracts like. That's the other great thing about video, is that people, as they watch video, they will develop that relationship with you, or they won't. Maybe they'll leave and they'll be like, you're not my person. But you know what? I don't know who doesn't want to work with us, because we never call them. We never pursue them. We don't chase them down, and they don't call us. Nobody calls us to say, hey, man, we really hate your videos. We're not going to work with you. Right. So, that's the great thing about YouTube. I mean, we're attraction based. We made 0 outbound calls last year. We did not prospect a single person, period.
I want to throw something in there for people listening. You said, I don't care if there's another 30 agents in your area doing this. 100% guarantee for everyone listening to this, there is not 30 agents in your area. In fact, you'll be fucking lucky if there's one. Yep. Right? Like Peter, I remember this. So we started our process.
We started doing our market research, and I'm like, but there's like 2 other people in my market that are doing this. They're getting 100 views. That's amazing. Not to discount that, but I'm like, they're getting 100 views. Like, how the hell am I going to compete with that?
Levi. And then I click on it, and it was like last published 4 months ago. And I was like, dude, let's just, do you know what I mean? Just shut the fuck up. Dude, let's do some fucking work. So,
and that goes into consistency, guys. If you're not consistent on the platform, the clients will see that. And do you think if you publish a video 4 months ago that you might get a call? You're not going to get as many calls as you could, because they know that if they see consistency, they're like, hey, this person's still active. This person's still working. They're still making an effort. Yeah, absolutely.
So, funny you say that, because when we started Elite Agent Secrets, we actually did book out a month of content, which is because we do an episode a day. We had to obviously batch a lot more, but we were like, in case we have problems coming up or shit happens. And you know what? Lo and behold, shit actually happened about 2 months later. We had like 2 or 3 weeks where we couldn't do anything. And then we were literally like, thank fuck, we batched a month of content. And we
were down to like the last week of episodes. So as an episode was coming in, we were editing and pushing it out.
Yeah, because we were like
a little bit.
Yeah. And it was like, thank fuck, because otherwise you're right. Like the algorithms don't like you. But anyway, I want to dive into agents. I want to dive into topic.
Hold on before we move on, because we're talking about consistency.
I want to dive into topic 2, which is how they get started. So that comes into consistency, because I want to know a framework that you could give realtors with regards like, do these videos or this style of video. These ones are the ones you focus on first. X, Y, Z, just even a rough framework. Because I know I'm sure you've got a bit of a battle plan considering you coach this on like this style, do this order. So something that people can listen to and be like, okay, I get an idea of what I could go out and shoot. Because, for those listening, briefly we discussed like iPhone 11 is what Levi uses, like super simple setup, wide angle camera, nothing crazy. Like it's not even the newest phone. Not that you ever need the new phone. Like I swear the camera basically hasn't changed since the 8. I swear to God, but it is. I've got a 12, so I'm good, Levi. I cover off the base of I've got a wide angle camera. I think
you got to have if you have 3 cameras. Do you have 3 cameras?
I've got 3. Yeah.
Yeah. So you've got the wide angle.
Perfect. Oh, and by the way, if you're interested in gaining access to our course and coaching programs, then head over to go.eliteagentsecrets.com.